Alpine Touch has been a staple of Montana for nearly 8 decades. Folks around the Treasure State have been putting Alpine Touch's world-famous all-purpose seasoning on their steaks and burgers for longer than most of us have been alive. The holidays are coming up. If you want to knock everyone's socks off, be sure to pick up some Alpine Touch Cold Smoke Rub for the best flavor for your Thanksgiving turkey or your Christmas prime rib. Alpine Touch comes in the mail right to your door. Just visit alpinetouch.com. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
Well, first off, just how excited are you for to end your career with this game and to face North Dakota State again in the national championship game?
Yeah, it's a pretty special deal. We're all excited to get back to the game in Frisco and for it to be the last game of my career. That's pretty special, and we want to take advantage of it.
What do you kind of remember most from the 21 game? What sticks out most in your memory from that one?
I didn't go to that game, so it was I watched on TV, but it was rainy. My field wasn't very good, and it kind of got after us that day.
Right, and you guys have talked a lot about how hungry you've been since the season ended last year. So now that you've got a chance to win it all and do it against that team that ended your season last year, just what kind of is the mentality and the motivation right now?
Yeah, the game last year definitely put a ton of motivation in us to get back to work as soon as we could. Guys were in the weight room working out 2 days later after that game, and we've been working ever since. So for it to kind of come full circle and us to meet up again in playoffs and the national championship, it's a pretty cool deal.
Thanks, Rylan.
Let's go next to Coulter Nuanez. Coulter?
Yeah, hey, Rylan, thanks for taking a minute. Coulter Nuanez, Skyline Sports. A couple for me. First of all, there was so much talk about how dominant North Dakota State has been over the years in the trenches. And you guys have made so much progress, and now you have one of the best offensive and defensive lines in all of college football. So talk about that element of it and how much that has played into your guys' success.
Yeah, I think football is a game that's won up front on both sides. So they were definitely the dominant team for a long time, and they controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and that's how they were able to go on such a good run. And I think Coach Vigen, when he came in, that was definitely a point of emphasis, is that we needed to get better up front, and he slowly but surely built us up and turned us into what we are now. And now I feel confident that we can match up against anybody up front on offense and defense, and so that should play a huge part of it.
Just describe the way your guys' defensive front has played, especially during these playoffs. I mean, I think Kenneth Iden's got sacks in like 7 straight games. Obviously, Brody Grebe is one of the best players in the country. So how much of those guys have sort of anchored your guys' defensive effort?
Yeah, they've been awesome. Those guys just play super hard. They all do their job, and Kenny and Brody are getting the sacks and recovering fumbles and stuff. But guys like Paul Brott and Alec Eckert in the middle just, taking on doubles, really doing their job. Clearing stuff up on the second level for the backers and the safeties to fit in the run game. It's been awesome playing behind those guys.
Cam Miller, North Dakota State's quarterback, is such a savvy guy, it seems. What's your analysis of him and what's the scout on him for your guys' defense?
Yeah, he's obviously a really good player. He's very experienced, played a lot of games, won a lot of games, can throw the ball, but he can also get out and hurt you with his feet. So we got to make sure that we're assignment sound and on the back end, try to confuse him with some looks and see if we can let our rush get to him and make him make mistakes.
And Bryce Lance, number 5 for North Dakota State, he's really come on. I thought he was just so fun to watch these last couple of weeks. So how dangerous is he, and what's sort of the first steps to slowing a receiver like that down?
Yeah, he's a heck of a player. He's been making a bunch of plays for them. The first step is knowing where he's at every play, and kind of they try to disguise it a bunch of different ways and get him in positions that they like and find matchups that they like. So if we just are aware of where he's at, what he's trying to do, and I'm confident with our guys on the perimeter and outside that can go match up with him and go make plays.
And last one from me, just the sort of culmination of all of this, and knowing that this is, your last college football game, and then you get a chance to do it on the biggest stage. What's that mean to you, just as a senior captain on this team?
Yeah, it means everything to me. Just going all the way from 21 till now, and all that this team has been through, and that we've really come together this year and stuck together as a senior class, and brought this whole team to where we are now. It's a pretty special time. It's just taking advantage of, this is the first time that we have like a finite number of days together. So taking advantage of the time that we get with each other, these snowy practices we got here, and really just enjoying the moment and going down there and keeping the main thing, but enjoying each other as well.
Tommy Mellott has joined, as you can see. Eric Peterson, you're up next.
Just question for Tommy. Tommy, just, what you've seen on NDSU's defense and just film study, what kind of challenges do they present for your offense?
Yeah, I think personnel, they're very solid all the way around. They play very complementary with the front end and the back end. They take care of business, up front to make it a little bit easier on the guys behind there in both the run and the pass game. And they're very, they do change it up. I think there's other teams that are, very based in a specific coverage, and they just say, we're going to do it better than you. And I think that these guys, even take away third down stuff. I think that they're, they mix it up enough to make it difficult on you, make points different, difficult for the O-line and possible pressures all the time with their too high looks, and they roll it down. And then the third down, they got a pretty elaborate package. So it's great to be able to break these guys down and really evaluate them.
Just describe, it seems kind of rare in this day and age. You're at, Montana State through your senior year, Cam Miller at NDSU for your senior year. Just describe two programs where the quarterback stayed around where, maybe other spots guys have left. I mean, what does that say, I guess, about both programs?
For me, yeah. I mean, I think obviously growing up in Montana, I wanted to always go to Montana State. I wanted to be part of the Cats, wanted to wear the blue and gold. And so there wasn't going to be an option outside of that I would ever consider to leave, and just a privilege and a blessing to play here with the seniors that I have, and also the guys that have left before me and are obviously going to continue on after me. It's just been an honor and a privilege to play with those guys. They love this program, they love playing football, and that's why they play here. It's not about money, it's about going out there and playing football, and that's what it should be about.
Thank you.
Let's go next to Stephen Hawkins.
Hey, Ron, I know he's sitting there right next to you, but, you just talked about two different quarterbacks that have stayed. What has Tommy really meant to this program, and what have you seen in his development as he's grown into that role?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to 2021, me and Tommy were running down on kickoff next to each other and covering punts and everything. So kind of growing up all the way from that to, him really starting his first game against UT Martin in those playoffs and taking off from there. It's been awesome to watch. Tommy's one of those dudes that just does everything right, and he's not going to ask anybody to do anything that he's not going to do himself. And so he's in here every day working to get himself better, make other people better, and he's really brought guys along with him. And I think that's meant a huge thing to our team and really helped us this year.
Tommy, for you, is this almost a full circle moment, though, because we know what happened and you didn't get to finish that game because of the injury, but what have you learned? And as you look back, how much does it mean to get this opportunity to kind of finish it off there, kind of where it almost started?
Yeah, absolutely. Freshman year was a whirlwind. There's a lot of things that I didn't know much about football at that point. It was just going out there and making plays. And ultimately, I think we made enough to make it to that game. And I think we were really just kind of hanging on. And I think that we're in a lot different situation this year. But no, it absolutely is. I was sitting on the sideline after I immediately did it, and I just wasn't able to plan or really move. And that was really what my ability was. And so as I sat on the sideline, just kind of hobbled and had to sit out and watch our seniors who, have sacrificed so much and blood, sweat, and tears into this program to build it up to what it was at that moment. And just see, obviously the end of their careers come at, the hands of North Dakota State. It was, and just, knowing I couldn't do anything was an awful feeling. And when I walked out the field, it was just a feeling of, are we ever going to be able to get back here in the 4 years? Is this taken for granted at this moment? And, ever since that, it's really just been, motivation to earn the right to go back and play in a national championship game. And so I do think it's fitting we get to play North Dakota State again.
I was about to say, I guess it couldn't be any more fitting that is the opponent you're playing.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, man.
Let's go to Keaton Galogly.
Hey guys, Keaton Glogly, Bobcat Sports Radio Network. Got a question for both of you guys. Just simply, what are you guys going to miss most about your football routine, that week to week, day to day? What are you guys going to miss most?
The week to week routine, we gotta, every morning me and my roommate Ryan Lonergan and a couple other guys and Marcus, we get here pretty early and we get in the tubs and kind of warm up and just chop it up with some guys. So I would say just the relationships and just kind of those little moments where you're just messing around with your friends and talking about stuff, and the locker room moments are definitely the best part.
Yeah, and I have to second that for sure. Just any of those moments, after practice, obviously hard fought practices a lot of times in the winters here at Montana State. But there's so much fun when you got to go inside and go put on some music and go enjoy hanging out with each other, going and grabbing your breakfast burrito and just kind of sitting down and just enjoying each other.
And finally, Tommy, do you have a favorite touchdown you've scored in your career to this point?
Next one. No, I wouldn't say I have one. No, I'm just excited to keep playing football. It's a privilege and a blessing for sure to be able to play into January. So just focus on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go to Dom Izzo. Dom?
Thanks, Bill. Tommy, just tell me about I asked Cam this, that your career has kind of been interspersed with each other. I mean, you played as a freshman, I know, in the championship game last year. Just describe how it's crazy in this era of the portal that 4 years together, you guys are now playing for the third time against one another.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just as earlier comment as well. I mean, I think we have two programs that have been very successful. And, I think both programs play football for the right reasons. And, it's not it's subjective to, or it's contingent upon, different incentives that the team presents. It's just, the guys love playing for each other and they enjoy playing football. And ultimately, I guess Cam sees it the same way. And so I think it's the right way to play football. And so, obviously I think I'm excited to go up against him. And I think, ultimately I don't get to play against him, but our defense does. And so I'm excited for them to see the success.
I know you're in the submarine. If you're worried about your own team, have you followed from afar, just seeing each you guys up for the Peyton? You're both going to be there Saturday night. That's really unique. Are your games similar at all?
I feel like I've watched enough about North Dakota State's offense. I think it's changed quite a bit as he's progressed as a quarterback, and I have to imagine it's been somewhat similar here at Montana State. I think that we have things that we do similarly and different. I think that we're based upon the same thing. Our offenses are, and that's establishing the run, but then being able to be efficient, passing, throwing the ball. And so I think we both kind of have those same mentalities as well.
My last thing for you, and this is for both you guys, it seems like you guys have played angry this year after how last season ended. Is that accurate? Can you describe, going even back to the New Mexico game, can you describe the temperament of how you played this season?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it's been an angry, like it's like we got to get back at all these people. We owe them something. I think that it's more for the guys around us and the guys that have stayed here despite the struggles that we had last year, that endured those things with us, that had to go look themselves in the mirror last year on whatever it was, December 4th, and say, man, we're done playing football already. Like, what is going on? Like, we got to figure this out. And the guys that decided to come back and really stuck it out and saw it through, and just a love for those guys and just the hardship that we have faced together. I just don't think that there's anything that's going to get in our way of causing us to doubt one another. It's just I think that's kind of the mentality that we've had this year.
Yeah, I would second that. I don't think it's based on anger at all. It's based on the love for each other, the love for this program, for this state, and for the guys in that locker room, and just knowing that everything that we've been through, and that we kind of decided to collectively come together, and we don't want that to happen again. And so everyone banded together and is just playing for each other, and that's what it's all about.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bobcats win again.
So, fifth quarter at the R-Bar?
Dude, I could crush a burger right now. Can you guys pick it up? I'm thirsty back here. Guys, what's up? Hop on in. Fifth quarter's this way.
Oh, new R-Bar merch.
Yo, what's the fifth quarter?
They have food, drinks, and giveaways after every home game.
And these sweet Bobcat cups.
Oh, I'm in.
Take me to the R-Bar.
Join us at the Rocking R-Bar after every home game for the fifth quarter.
Let's celebrate the spirit of blue and gold.
Grace Lawrence, you're up.
Awesome. My first question's for Tommy. I'm working on a feature on Cole Sane. I'm just curious with how special the senior season kind of was for him moving into center, just kind of your relationship with him and how special this last year has been for him and his journey.
Yeah, I mean, Cole, I think got here the same time as I did, but he had obviously a much different route. He actually ended up going to the other team in Montana, and then he left there for reasons that we all know of. And then he went on to a JUCO and decided to come back to Montana State. He's a guy who's, his family grew up in Montana, so wanted to make sure he came back. And just he's had quite a few injuries that have limited his play. He certainly has played in the past, but ultimately just doing everything he possibly could. And I think he's a guy that really takes care of himself too. I don't think these injuries have just been unfortunate. I think he takes care of himself like nobody else, nutrition wise, stretching wise, lifting wise, all those different factors. And so, I think it's just, it was a lot of bad luck there, in previous years. And so, just seeing him, being able to step up and really, get after it and be a huge contributor and a huge, just a leader within that offensive line room who's, I think the best in the nation is incredible. Just to have guys step up like that and a program like this means the world. And, personally, I think the world of Cole. He's a great guy. And so I'm excited to, obviously get to continue to play with him. But it's been a privilege to see him, go and dominate this year.
Awesome. And then my last question for both of you, just what has Coach Vigen meant to this program and what have you learned most from him over this journey you guys have had with him?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I'll go first. No, Coach Vigen's been a great mentor to me. I think he's a guy, a few words, but the words that he does say are very calculated and very intentional. And I think he's a very loving individual, but he's extremely thoughtful with that as well. And so just, being able to be a part of a team that, he leads, it just gives you so much motivation to do everything you possibly can for him and also his family. I feel like, Molly, she's been great in my life and in my family's life. And so I just think that it's just a whole package. And obviously, Jake being part of this program and kind of in involving some of his younger kids as well, it's been really special. So, I think you get a full package deal with him as a mentor, as a coach here. And, obviously X and O's, he's a genius, but it goes so far beyond that. And, I've really appreciated the opportunity that he gave me to play here at Montana State. And so then I'll never forget. So I'm very grateful for the Vigen family.
Yeah, Coach Vigen's meant so much to this program and to me personally. He is a quiet guy, but when he talks, it means people listen because he's going to say something that's intentional and very thoughtful, and that it's going to be good. And he's just done so much for me. I was a walk-on, and he put me on scholarship, and he stuck with me through a lot of things throughout my career, and that's meant everything to me. And he really brings a family culture of toughness and hard work, discipline, and all that. But he does really care about every single individual on this team, and I think that's what's something super special about him.
Let's go to Greg Rockhutch.
Thank you, Bill. For Tommy, I'm just curious, what it's like playing quarterback, now versus maybe that original playoff run in 2021, and just how much the game has really slowed down for you. Can you describe what that's been like?
Yeah. Coming out of high school, I felt like I had some good coaching for sure. But high school football is a lot more, you just kind of go and make plays. And so ultimately that was what, they saw out of me, and they wanted to give me a shot with that. So that artistic piece to playing quarterback was essentially all that I really had my freshman year. And so really since then, it's kind of been a battle, to obviously make it more of a science, with numbers and stuff like that. And so I've really learned a great amount from, coordinators that I've had, Coach Walker this year, Coach House right before, and Coach Vigen as well has played a huge role in understanding numbers really in run game and in pass game, protections, all that sort of thing. So certainly understanding those things have also obviously it's a great thing, but it can also paralyze you at times because obviously defense, that's what they try to do is make it confusing with numbers. And so it's been great to try to find that happy medium between it being a science and an art. And, obviously trying to, obviously know the numbers, but then when it doesn't, you can extend plays and make things that defenses don't account for difficult on them. So I think that it's certainly slowed down, but I've just enjoyed it a lot. So just been enjoying the process of it all.
And then how satisfying is it for you to have been able to kind of come of age a little bit, in the passing game this season, maybe compared to the previous three?
Yeah. I think that there's definitely been ups and downs in the past, and this year as well. And so, but it's been exciting to, extend what our offense is and make us much more dynamic. I think we have always had guys on the perimeter. And I think it's just been designing opportunities and being, being a multitude of ways to get those guys the ball. I think Coach Walker's done a great job of that. And I think that his belief in me has gone, very far. And so I think last year to the biggest downfall was just my lack of ability to be out on the field. And so being healthy for one this year and obviously continuing that growth has been very important.
Thank you.
All right. We have 3 hands up. So we'll start with Victor and then finish with Coulter and Austin. Victor?
Yeah, for Tommy, we talked about the missing the 21 game with an injury. But last year too, obviously, was one you left in the fourth quarter with an injury. So, how much was that kind of on your mind, and what was your vantage point? How did you watch the rest of that game from the sideline last year?
Yeah, no, I was extremely unfortunate. When you put it all on the line like that, there's times where that happens, and so. It's something that is part of my game, and that's, I play this game with passion. I play this game with love, and I put it all on the line for the guys around me. And ultimately, it was just unfortunate how that kind of came down last year. I think I ended up sitting out there for 1 drive or 2 drives on offense. So, but no, I was just going around and motivating guys to keep getting it done because, I think that we obviously had a lot of good things going on, and ultimately we had so many opportunities to close that game out, and it just seemed like we kept shooting ourselves in the foot. But I think that it's a game that you play with love and you don't ever regret anything. So, that one, it was unfortunate how our season came to an end last year. But like I said, it was something that we all, looked at ourselves in the mirror afterwards and said, man, if, are we going to stick this thing out? And the guys that did, that wanted to come back, it grew our strength in our bond among each other. And so I think it's been a great thing for us.
Yeah, and last one for me, just for Rylan, your reaction after the semifinal win, this last one, kind of maybe how it compared to 21, but just your overall feelings after going back to punching another ticket to Frisco.
Yeah, I was super happy just to be able to, like Tommy said, like in 21 when that game was over, it was kind of the question of like, will we be able to make it back there, or were we taking it for granted? And we came up short in 22 and 23, and so earning our spot back on that plane down to Frisco was a super special moment, and I'm ready to get down there with these guys.
Coulter?
Tommy, just 3 for me quickly here. First of all, I know we've asked you a lot about Adam Jones, but the fact that there's 2 sort of star freshman running backs in this game, one on either side, how difficult is it as a freshman to get to this point in the season and still be a productive player and endure what both those running backs have endured at a physical position like that?
No, absolutely. I think that's a great point to make. Being able to play, and this season, including, adding another game to our season on top of, being a freshman young guy. But I think it's just a testament to what Adam did in the offseason, what Coach Herron has him do. He puts his heart and mind to it, trains extremely hard, and those, physically breaking down your body, during lifts, during runs like that, prepares you for the beatdown that is, a season. And so he obviously did that all throughout the entire winter and the entire summer. And also, on top of that, did everything he could to take care of himself. And so that kind of set a good baseline into the season. So he kind of knew how to take care of himself. And I think he's done a great job with that. He's a smart runner. And I think, beyond all the physical things is too, emotionally, just as a young guy who really hasn't played, going into the year and being able to play now into a 16th game in the season is extremely special. And it's just a testament to, I'd say, certainly his family and how they raised him, how we run things here at Montana State with our, strength program and just as, but I also think that he's just a tough kid and he gets stuff done. So I think it's just a testament to him as well. So.
And last one, I guess I'll wrap it into just one question. The fact that this is your last college football game, what does that moment mean to you? And does it seem fitting that it's North Dakota State on the other side?
Yeah, last game. I know Ortt talked about it earlier, just that finite. We finally have a finite number of days, and every other week in those playoffs, it's always been, nothing's guaranteed beyond. So it was, you had the finite number of, 5 or 6, whatever you want to look at it, starting there on Sunday. But now, we have a date and we know when, the last 60 minutes of football are going to be for our college career. And so it's definitely a blessing that we've been able to extend it as far as we have and have the max number of games. And on top of that, be able to play a week 0 game to extend the season even longer. It's something that, I just take great pride in being part of this program. And so as many weeks as we possibly could get together, I was working and I was praying that we'd have that opportunity and it ultimately has come. So I don't think it's, anything that I'm going to become emotional about, before the game or being worried about during the game. Because I think it's, sort of a testament to this team and just being able to earn that last game for, all of our seniors. But it certainly is a blessing to be able to go and play, a team like North Dakota State, where they have always been, a team that's been competing for national championships and for us to go over there and, really give them everything we can. And I'm just very excited to have that opportunity to go play them down in Frisco.
Austin Parker finishes up.
Thanks, Bill. Hey, Rylan. First one for you. Brody kind of spoke about this and Tommy too, but, he talked about the seniors and the leaders drawing a line in the sand last year. After that game. So, but just from your perspective, what really changed focus level wise for you guys to really adapt that want to know mindset and, take this program to the next level?
Yeah, I think the main thing we focus on is we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. We can't be in January worried about next January. You know what I'm saying? We got to look at the day ahead of us. We got to attack that day and go 1-0 each day. And so we went 1-0 during winter conditioning, and then we attacked spring ball, and then we went into summer workouts, and then we went to fall camp, and then we just go week by week. And so I just think that we did a good job of not getting ahead of ourselves every week, resetting and going back to work. You got to be about the process. And, I think the main thing was the seniors and this whole team is really falling in love with that process. And, every Monday showing back up, restarting, getting to know the opponent, and by Saturday going out and trying to execute it as good as we can. So we've just really stacked days and kept our focus pretty tunnel vision.
For you again, Rylan, we've talked about the Sentinel to Montana State pipeline a lot, but now that you've kind of had time to think about it over the holidays and you continue to see guys make plays from Missoula, from Sentinel, just how special has that been? To have guys from the school that you went to now making plays.
Yeah, it's awesome. Guys like Zach and Adam just going out and making plays and being from Missoula. And we take great pride in being Bobcats and coming here to Montana State and representing this university and this program, and especially because we are from Missoula. And so, when I see those guys make plays, it makes me super happy because I felt like I might be a small part of them coming over here and wanting to be a part of a program like this. And especially when we get to go back in Missoula and hold our heads high and put our Bobcat sweatshirt on and walk around that town, it definitely means something to us. So, I've enjoyed it a lot. That purple one, it's pretty special.
Last one for both of you guys. Tommy, you kind of just spoke on it a little bit, but just overall in general, you've been home for the holidays for a little bit. How special has this run been for both of you guys?
Like I said, it was, going into the season, going into my senior year, knowing that this was going to be,
the end of my college career, it was always, I wanted to extend it as long as I could. All the previous years, obviously I wanted to do the same thing, but and I gave everything I could. And so I think that, it's just been a blessing to be able to, actually see that come to fruition here as my senior year and play as much football as I possibly can. Cause, I love this game. I love playing it. I love playing here at Bobcat Stadium. I love playing in the blue and gold. Everything about it is a great program, great culture. And so, being able to make it to a national championship game is one thing. And so I think, obviously, I'm not going to say was our goal, though. We're excited to go down there and play and play a team who's, like I said, has always been, the standard here at the FCS level. So I think that's what we're about, and I think that's what we're excited to go show on national television.
Are you paying too much in taxes? Elevated Tax and Accounting is a firm that specializes in tax planning and strategy to minimize your tax bill. Elevated Tax consult with you on tax strategy throughout the year, so no more waiting until the end of the year and hoping for the best. As a business owner, you know your sole focus should be spent working on your business, not in it. Outsourcing gives you the time to concentrate on the core reasons you started your company, to create and innovate a top-tier product and generate profits. Elevated Tax and Accounting, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch.
Well, beyond excited to be, still in the situation where we get to have a press conference here on a Monday, December 30th. I think this team has continued to live in the moment, and it's great to be in this current moment with this group. We won that game a couple Saturdays ago. Met that Sunday morning, allowed the guys to go home, spend some time with their families over the Christmas holiday, which I think was very meaningful for them. Brought them back here on the 26th, and we've been at it since then. So excited about the work we've been able to put in the last few days, and I know we're excited about the next few days here in Bozeman, and then we travel down to Frisco on Thursday, and we're a week out from the game, so excited about that opportunity. I know the opponent in front of us. I think we know for sure. Having played them last year and then back in 21 down in Frisco, have a lot of respect for that program. It's beyond, the obvious, I suppose, with my situation, having spent so much time there and then having faced them. But really been impressed with this team, their team. Kim's come in there and done a really good job, and they're a team that is better now than it was back in August. That's apparent. They have some guys that have had those types of years, led by Cam Miller, that you need to take a team to these heights. He's done phenomenal things throughout his career, but has certainly had his best year this year in his last year. And when the moments have been biggest, he's really shined. So he's going to be a big challenge for us to contain. You look at the years that Marty Brown has had, the Jerry Rice Award winner, and Bryce Lance, the year he's had, and that's just to name two skill guys. They have many skill guys that can hurt you, and I think Cam Miller does a great job of spreading that ball around. And I know that it starts for them up front, so we're really impressed with that group and their continued improvement. Then on the defensive side, I know they've continued to do things that NDSU has traditionally done, led by their front. Mostert and Heisman, I think, from an interior perspective, is a heck of a tandem, very disruptive. And, I think that front in general and the number of guys they've played has continued to come along. I thought they played really well, and they were probably the difference in that victory over South Dakota State. And I think they've worked through some things, both at linebacker and safety positions, with some injuries, departures, those type of things. They got young guys in some instances playing, and those guys have continued to get better. And you can just see that I think they've continued to find themselves. I know Coach Grant Olson, first year coordinating, he's done a really good job of continuing to bring that defense along. So, excited for this opportunity. Heck of a lot of respect for NDSU and what they pose is a type of challenge that you're going to get at this time of year. Do want to address the contract extension that was released today. Very excited to continue on here at Montana State. Grateful to President Cruzado and Leon Costello in particular for their continued support. We've, as a family, Molly and I and our boys have really enjoyed our time here. And there's a lot of things that go into the type of opportunity that you desire. And, our day-to-day piece has been great here. Our boys continue to grow up here in this community has been great. And, the support that we feel on a daily basis is what you want. And a lot of credit to these type of opportunities should go to our staff and our players. Been fortunate through the 4 years to work with great people, and that's our coaches, that's our support staff, that's everyone involved, and a lot of hard work that goes unnoticed, certainly on all ends by our coaches and our support staff. And then the most credit goes to our players. We've been really fortunate to work with talented young men who are about the right things and really desire playing the game the way it should be played and playing for the things it should be played for. And that's a lot of the reason we're in this position. So, a lot of people to thank and excited about the opportunity moving forward. December in college football has continued to change. I know every coach across the country, whatever division you're at, you desire to be playing at this time, be desiring to play meaningful football in December, and we're very fortunate to do so. But it's also a month of a lot of transition. Signing day being at the beginning of the month, the transfer portal and all the transition that has created. So it's created a scenario that this is where we want to be. We want to be playing football at this time of year, and I'm grateful for us being able to continue to play and have this opportunity to cap this season off. So with that, I'll open it up to questions, and I'm excited for our team and what's in front of us.
Coulter Nuanez, let's start with you.
Hi, Coach. Coulter Nuanez, Skyline Sports. First of all, the quarterback matchup in this one's obviously going to be a big one. But can you just talk about sort of both these guys and the fact that they started in this game as freshmen in 2021, and now here they are as seniors and sort of defined as two of the best players in the country?
Yeah, and I think it's you look back and both these guys were named finalists, top 3 for this award coming out of the regular season. So I guess it is poetic that they both led their teams to this game. And I think they were both guys that have had a ton of success, won a lot of football games. But I think for both of them, they've continued to grow as quarterbacks. I think of what, Cam Miller meant to that team in 21 and what he means now is two different things. He was a good quarterback. Now he's become a great quarterback. And I think the same can be said for Tommy. How Tommy did things and what he was willing or what he was able to do for us back in 21 and even 22, way different than the version of Tommy Mellott this year. And to be in games like this for your team to ultimately achieve at its highest level, you generally need good quarterback play, if not great quarterback play. And I think both teams have that, and, excited for the matchup. I know they don't go head to head, but ultimately, the team that wins, a lot will come back to probably who played better between those two.
There's been so much talk about the offensive line, defensive line, and your guys' improvements there to get to this point. How much of that credit goes to just the mentality you guys would be able to hone collectively, and how much influence has Sean Herron had on sort of honing that collective mentality to help you sort of close the proverbial gap?
Yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit. When we sat down back in February of 21, it was clear to me, the right guy was in that position first off. I was very fortunate that Sean had taken the job preceding me in the December of 20. And, kind of laying out how I saw things and where we wanted to get to. A lot was going to come down to, our ability to recruit the right guys that could develop, but then, Sean being able to put them to work and, transform them. And I think, that's not about one or two guys. That's about probably 15 to 20 guys over the last 4 years that have transformed. And, And I know, you know, a lot was made about how we matched up in 21, and that game maybe had to happen for, you know, for us to have this barometer of where we were at that point in time. You know, we were without Chase that day, Chase Benson. I know that hurt us, but you know, they won the line of scrimmage. It was clear that particular day. And I think fast forward to 22 in the semifinal game against South Dakota, I think the same could be said that day. So not only have we trained really hard, but I think we've had a couple days where it's been clear on the field that we were not where we needed to be. And I think those days, those games, those opportunities, without them, I don't know that the motivation would be maybe as significant. Yes, our guys would be motivated, but when you do see it firsthand and you lose a game in the trenches, you know, that ends your season in both those years, I think that's a catalyst for you. And you know, we're 4 years into it now. We've recruited guys, they've developed, and I think we're in a position where I feel confident that our guys up front are going to battle and hold their own, you know, and ultimately do everything they can to win that matchup on both sides of the ball. And you know, that will be obviously very critical to how this game plays out, who wins that battle. And I know our guys are going to go after it.
The Bryce Lance has had such a great, season, but also just playoff stretch. How dangerous is he just on the perimeter?
Extremely dangerous. He can run. He's got great size. I think his body control, catch radius, you know, all those things is you know, has continued to improve, evolve. And I would imagine along with that, the confidence that he has, the confidence that Cam has in him, the confidence that you know, Jake Landry calling those plays has in that connection. You can just see that growing throughout the year. So credit to him. It's not that he came out of nowhere, but he's taken his game to another level, you know, to that star level, you know, and he's not the only one they have out there. So it's not like you can put all your attention in his direction, but you know, we'll definitely know where number 5 is.
I know we've talked a lot about Adam Jones, but just the fact that there's 2 freshman running backs in this game that have made it to this point, how impressive is that to you? Because that's usually one of the hardest parts for, you know, those rookie type of guys.
Yeah, I can certainly speak to Adam, you know, intently. I think Adam's consistency and durability has really impressed me. I think, you know, that comes from a kid he understands how to train and take care of his body. That's usually the last piece to come for those young guys. They're talented enough to go out there, but you know, their ability to be as durable as Adam has been is typically not there. So I would imagine, you know, for Marty Brown, it's been much the same. I know, you know, once they got him going, since that point, he has been absolutely consistent as well. And you know, he's a physical runner, so that's part of his game. So I think it's obviously a credit to both of them. They're not true freshmen, but this is their first time going through it. And, you know, to be able to stack up over 15 games, now 16 games, that's hard. It's a hard transition just to know what that means physically, and need the right kids, right young men. And I know Adam's that in our case.
Last one, just your first head coaching matchup against Tim Polasek, a guy that you've worked with throughout the years, and I know that you're close with.
Yeah, you know, I guess it's the way it goes. When Tim got that job, I imagined that there's one of these matchups that were down the road. You know, our first 3 years we'd faced NDSU, so I had good faith that Tim would go there and, you know, continue moving things forward. And you know, we haven't worked together since 2012, but you know, Tim probably as much as anybody in the coaching profession is someone that I've stayed in touch with. You know, and I think our relationship is growing. I mean, he ultimately replaced me back at NDSU, and there was, you know, continuity, I guess, with our relationship there. And then, you know, when I left Wyoming, he replaced me. Actually bought my house too in Laramie. So. No, I think we worked together for several years from 06 to 2012. You know, in some ways we were continuing to grow up together as coaches under Coach Bowl. And, you know, I think see the game in common way. We're different personality wise for sure, but I think when it comes down to the game of football, relationships, how you go about your business, I think we're very similar. So I got a great appreciation for Tim, and look forward to, talking before the game and then walking over to our sidelines and letting our teams go at it.
Let's go to Jeff Kolpak. Jeff?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Hey, speaking of Craig Bohl, Biggs, describe his coaching tree now. Starting to branch out quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we were all so fortunate, and it wasn't like Coach ever, we ever sat down and had a master class or anything, but that's really what working for him with any length of time turned into. And for me, I'd say it was kind of 3 different phases through those 18 years. It was the initial phase of us, transitioning and building that program up at the FCS level. And it was in some ways that transition out of the 09 season when we hit rock bottom at NDSU. We went 3-8 and had a lot of things that needed to go in a different direction, and they certainly did. And you look at the success that's gone on there since then. Just learning through that time at NDSU, I was growing as a coach. It was significant. And then by that tail end, I did know that becoming a head coach was something that I wanted to do. But then the move with him to Wyoming and all that we went through there was a whole another layer to, which is just watching him work. And it's there's so many things to it that why we are all positioned to be what we've become, I guess. Coach is he's going to let you do your job. So for one, he let us all work and he let us all grow underneath him. He's going to guide you, but he's not going to tell you what to do at the same time. He's a taskmaster. He's going to work as hard as anybody in that building. So when it comes to recruiting and developing and always trying to stay ahead of those 2 essential concepts, there was a constant evolution through the 18 years I was with them, and ultimately becoming a head coach. And I look back at 2003 when he was this very successful defensive coordinator. He comes to NDSU and he became a head coach. He turned the keys over on the defensive side to Jimmy Burrow, and that made a real impression upon me. So when I would have the opportunity, you knew what being a head coach would look like, as far as managing a staff, managing a team, fundraising aspect, the relationship you need within the community, administration. So I think it's all those things that we witnessed, just on a daily basis that has put us all in this position to maybe put our own swing on it to some degree, but we all owe a great deal of our success to him. I think that's beyond obvious.
Yeah, another one of those, Carlton Littlejohn. You recruited him out of Minneapolis, and he said a couple of days ago you were rocking the green sweater vest. What do you remember about recruiting Carlton Littlejohn?
Boy, Coach was big on the sweater vest through that stretch, so followed suit. I think, both Carlton and Grant recruited them both, and Carlton, Carlton was Minneapolis North. Minneapolis North at that program, I felt like, boy, that was a team that was just him. And they were going through a transition at that time where a couple years prior, I think there was a thought about not continuing to play football, and Carlton standing at that school, meant so much to where that football program is now and the success they've had. They've had a tremendous amount of success in recent years. And I think Carlton Littlejohn, as a high school athlete, staying at that school and not going down the street to wherever, which a lot of kids did, was as impactful. And that was apparent walking in that school, whether it was talking to the football coach, Ricky Williams at the time. I know Spank was involved at the school there through that stretch, Mike Faber, and, he was hero status as a 17, 18-year-old, and he was as humble as the day is long. So I'm so happy for his success, because I know, he's reached out to me a few different times through his journey. And you just know he's going to go about it the right way. And to get back to NDSU for him, I think was a big deal, and obviously an important hire for Tim. And I couldn't be more excited for those guys you coached, you recruited, to have the success they're having.
Finally, how have you handled your name being tied to all these FBS openings? How do you handle that, or do you pay attention at all?
Well, I think I've long lived by being where my feet are. Now, we addressed it with the team, no different than, say, the transfer portal. Our success is going to lead to, opportunities for people in this room, and that could be me. And if that time comes, I'll be as transparent as I can with the team, and at the same time not do anything to compromise this team. And that's why I spoke to it. This month of December is transitional for a great percentage of the football programs in this country. We're one of two at our level that are truly playing meaningful football.
Formatting is stupid.
So
people don't know how difficult it is to put these things together.
Hey, Jim Powers, could you please mute?
Oops, sorry, guys.
So to finish my thought, you just deal with it, and you love the place you're at. And if something at some point comes along that makes sense, it'll make sense. But coaching this team throughout the championship made the most sense to me, and couldn't be more excited to be in that position.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Let's go to Craig Haley next. Craig?
Thank you, Bill. Coach, appreciate your time. My connection dropped earlier, so I apologize if this question has been asked already. But can you compare the feeling you have and your program has this time going to Frisco as opposed to your first year coaching the Bobcats?
For sure, yeah. I think at 21, we were beyond happy to be there. We were the 8th seed. We lost our last regular season game to our rivals. We inserted a freshman quarterback right there following, and got on a run where we won 3 games. We were able to get that semifinal game back here against South Dakota State, and put this program in a position it hadn't been in a long, long time. And I think that team, I don't know, getting that far was probably what it could do. And that team set the bar. I think that's critical. That team doing what it did and making it set the bar here at Montana State in a different way, I think, than it had been set. So, fast forward to this team, we're not just happy to be there. We've been able to put 15 games together and really truly live in that week-to-week moment for good reason, because that was our intent all the way along, to ultimately, give ourselves an opportunity to go down to Frisco and not only get down there, but do everything we can to win a football game and have a team that understands a little bit differently what that means than probably 21. And it's, you can look at the matchup aside, we're playing the same school, but I think our team is just better equipped with its mentality. We came into this playoffs as a top seed. When you're a top seed, you get a little different target on your back, and you have different expectations of yourself. So different, but appreciating the opportunity in both aspects. But I think it's just that this team is wired differently from day one. Its expectations for what it could do have been different.
Sure. Coach, you did allude to it. The 2009 season at North Dakota State, what is going through the coaches' minds when you're having a season like that doesn't fit in with anything you've experienced there?
Yeah, well, it was interesting. Gus Bradley and I were the two that got held over, and we had experienced our last year before Coach got there, which was 2-8. Gus had gone on to the NFL by then, so I had experienced that at NDSU, unfortunately, in 2002. So I think the biggest thing was, okay, we weren't just getting blasted in each of those 8 losses. We were a competitive outfit. I think we felt like we had some good young pieces, and somehow, some way, I think, through my stretch there, out of that 2009 season, we probably had our best recruiting year. So I think there was a collective effort by the coaches to keep forging ahead, and we aren't that far away. And I think as a team, I know we felt like we had this good young group that had the potential, and it was just, maybe about just getting to the next year. I think, and then fortunately that next year, it wasn't perfect by any means in 2010, but we actually, we found our way into the playoff, the 20-team playoff at the time. We made our way out to Bozeman in the second round. We won a game here. We lost that heartbreaker and Cheney, and that the things that needed to happen to that team to take a step forward, to get close, I think was a big catapult into what it became shortly thereafter.
Thank you, Coach.
This week's Breakdown, proudly presented by the Bobcat Collective at Montana State. The Bobcat Collective is the NIL collective that serves Montana State University student athletes. The collective has partnered with Montana State to connect fans, alumni, businesses, and local nonprofits with Montana State student athletes. Opportunities through the collective allow student athletes to earn compensation while serving the greater Montana State University community. Sign up now for memberships and enjoy automatic entry into raffles for free tickets while supporting the bright minds at Montana State. They have multiple different membership tiers, and you can also be a one-time supporter, and you can also business partner or corporate supporter. Visit bobcatcollective.com for more.
Let's go to Grace Lawrence. Grace?
My first question is about the state of Texas. It's the most represented state on the roster outside of Montana. Just what the state of Texas and recruiting has meant to you guys, what makes it so special, and kind of the full circle moment for a guy like Simeon that gets to end his college career in his home state.
Yeah, we have 15 young men on the roster from Texas, I believe, and there was just a couple, and Simeon was coming in that added to that group when I got the job. I think it was clear to me when I got the job that we needed to increase our efforts down there in recruiting. And I think part of that recruiting story for those guys was enhanced by us making that first championship game and playing down in Frisco. I know like Jared was recruited shortly thereafter, a Frisco native. So I think in the back of all those Texas natives, their mind moving forward from that moment was this potential opportunity to play down their home state. The only regular season game that we had on the schedule to play down there got robbed from us from Stephen F. Austin. So if we were going to play down in Texas, we'd have to make this game. So, I think for one of the big things for me and for our staff has been those Texas guys, they love the game of football, and they get a chance to be, in most cases, in high school programs where that football team and all their success is paramount. So they come up here, they really gravitate towards what we have here in Bozeman. So for that group to have this opportunity, for a guy like Simeon to be able to finish his career down there, couldn't be more happy for him.
And then talking about Coach Owens, who is a Dallas native, just what has he meant to this program and the addition of him as, the DB's coach, the safeties coach this season?
Yeah, I think it's been significant. I think he, first of all, has done a really good job of building relationships with the guys in his position group. I think he's done a really good job within that defensive staff. And then on the recruiting side, it was immediate. We actually went into Seth Johnson's home. He's a Frisco native, right down the street from the stadium, Reedy High School. And that was my first opportunity to listen to Jody in a home visit talk about his experience as a Metroplex native, coming up to Bozeman kind of as a youngster, really not knowing what he was getting himself into, and then how this place, Montana State Bozeman, changed his life. So I think when he can go down there and be able to tell his own story, I think that's really significant. And, in addition, Nick John Baptiste being from Houston and now being on our staff several years, Nick's done a great job down there. He didn't play here, but he's been here, and I think he's done a great job identifying those Houston area kids that are going to really thrive up here. So, we have more guys than those guys recruiting down there, but those two Texas natives being able to, in different ways tell their story and their experience up here, I think has been significant for us.
Awesome. And then last one from me. I know you've talked about it a bit this season, but I'm working on a feature on Cole Sane and just kind of his whole collegiate journey. But to see what he's been able to do this season, stepping in at center, and then the full circle moment of just how far this season has gone for him and his stellar performances week in and week out, just what you can say about that.
Well, it's quite a journey. I would say it's unusual. And I think the journey that I've witnessed in the last 4 years is what I'm going to really hang on to. His continued development as a football player and person, has been tremendous in what he's after. And then I think the obstacles that have come in his way, and how he's dealt with that. And I think, how this has shaped him into the man that he'll ultimately leave here as. That's what you want. You want guys to certainly grow and have this great experience on the football field, but you want them to grow into these men that are going to be able to go off and be highly successful. And Cole is going to be highly successful in life. His business acumen for a person his age is significant. And what he's meant to us this year, being able to go from, okay, how is this going to work? He hadn't played football in a year. We have a bunch of guys, candidates at those guard positions. That's where, that's kind of where it started for us back in fall camp. Certainly he was going to be our backup center at the same time. Justice goes down and Cole's, got to go back in there and still as this mature older guy, but this guy that hadn't played football in a long time. And what Cole's done throughout the course of this stretch is he's continued to get better, and his improvement has been key to us. And his durability and what he's done to put himself in a position physically to be as durable as he has, and how that process repeats itself each week. I can't thank him enough for the efforts that he's made physically. So, unique story, and we've come a long ways. He's come a long ways, and we wouldn't be where we are without his progress.
Thanks, Coach.
Let's go to Eric Peterson next. Eric?
Hey, Coach. You mentioned Cody Heisman and Eli Mostert. What challenges do they present, the kind of the D tackle and the way those two guys play with the offense you run?
Yeah, well, they're both really strong and really quick, and then they're relentless. So whichever one of those you want to put in front, I'd say that relentless piece probably goes back to the front as far as the most challenging thing. And it appears that, as the season gone along, they've been willing to do more and more with them, just moving them and their defense, no different than ours, is built from the inside out. So it starts with those two positions. And, Eli's been a big time playmaker for quite some time now. And, I think Cody really through the course of this year has become something very similar to Eli, so I know he hasn't garnered maybe the national honors that Eli has, but boy, you see those guys as both that type of player. So to be able to put two of those guys out there at the same time, I think that in itself is a challenge. But both big, strong, quick off the ball, good against the run, good in pass rush. And then they just, the way they both play is without end. So, we're going to have our hands full with them.
Thank you.
Victor Flores, let's go to you.
Hey, Coach. I was curious about, Cam Miller brought this up in his presser today, the field conditions in 21 affecting your D-line so much in that game. And then, of course, in 22, the same thing at South Dakota State. So I'm wondering how much you feel like that was maybe contributing to some of the trench issues and your overall thoughts on those field conditions 3 years ago and 2 years ago.
It didn't help. We needed every probably advantage both those years that we could get. So when the field was slick, which it was two different forms of slick in 21 and 22, that didn't help. We were thinner. I know that in itself. Without Chase in 21, that really made us thin, especially on the interior. And then in 22, I think by that time we weren't as deep, and our depth, the quality of depth wasn't what it needed to be. And we were still probably young at that time too. So I don't think we're young anymore. I think we're deeper. I think we're capable of playing in more conditions, I suppose, field conditions, bigger, stronger, all that stuff. But it was a factor both those years. But I think when it comes down to it, they're playing, both the offensive lines are playing the same scenario that so we got to be able to handle whatever the field's like, and we have to be able to win that battle.
And last one for me is just, do you have any injury update? I know Junior Alexander got hurt in that last game. Julius Davis is a question mark. So those two, and just any other injury update.
Yeah, I suspect that Junior is going to be just fine. And the rest certainly has helped him. Julius will probably be, a situation where this whole week is going to have to play out to see where he's going to be at. But this is the first game I think I've been able to say that. And that's, going back to when he got hurt against Montana. I think we felt like out of that game, the one game he could potentially play in would be this. So that's where I didn't want to close the book on his season. I knew this game would be an opportunity potentially, and he's worked, and I'm hopeful for him to be available come that next Monday.
Thank you.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Austin Parr, you're up next.
Hey, Coach. Just doing a feature on Kenny Iden and just kind of his impact this season. It seems like teams have, double teamed Brody a lot, and he's been a beneficiary of that, starting really at UC Davis and on through this playoff run. So just kind of what is he, meant to this defense during this run?
Kenny's extremely talented and has been, and he's had flashes. I think his first couple years, and like a lot of our D linemen, I'd say Brody was the same way. There's a step-by-step, process to becoming, as complete as possible. And I think Kenny's done that, gone through those steps. And he's, there's a couple things to it. We obviously ask those guys to rush the passer, and those really talented guys can probably do that from day one, just in some regard. But being able to read your keys and play the run and play really disciplined up front, that takes some time. And I think Kenny's put himself in that position where, I think we have that on either side between him and Brody. And if he's been the beneficiary of some of the matchups, there's part of it, but part of it's just who Kenny's become. I think Kenny's become a tough matchup in his own right. So we need them both to be factors in each and every game. And, I think down the stretch, when these games have, continued to mean more and more, I think they've continued to show up all over the place. And Kenny's play, I think has put him in, a conversation with Brody, honestly. I mean, I think we really hold Brody in high regard, and that's how we want it to be. But I think Kenny's put himself, just with his consistency and his effort and how he's continued to, go after becoming the player he can become. And having a guy like Brody in that room is such a great example. So, credit goes to Coach Howe for sure, but then, Brody for, showing the way. In a lot of ways, Brody was showing the way by guys before him as well.
You kind of spoke about it a little bit there, but just, not only his, you talked about his on the field growth, but what he has done, the work behind the scenes, and just kind of his growth and development into, becoming one of the leaders on this defense over the last couple of years.
Yeah. I think he got here my first year, and he was a highly regarded guy from Bozeman High that, there's just a transition as a young man that needed to occur, and it needs to occur with most of our guys, so redshirting and, us even figuring out, okay, is he an inside guy or is he an outside guy? What's the right weight for him to be at? I think there's just a maturing that had to occur and needs to occur most of our guys. So then, going through each one of these years and increasing his role has been part of the plan. And last year with the guys like Ben Seymour and David Alston, Kenny wasn't leaned on as much, but Kenny showed up and made plays. And now with the departure of those guys, and especially a guy like Ben who probably played, I know he played the most of all those guys rep wise last year and was as consistent as he could possibly be. We needed Kenny to step up and make the plays for sure, flash for sure, but then be that consistent force. And I know he's done that. So, credit to him being talented for sure, but then recognizing I got this talent. Okay, I grew up in Bozeman. My dad played for the Cats. I want this. I really want this. And now allow these coaches to pour into me and become what I can become. And I know that transition was already happening prior to this year, but it's really taken hold this year.
Thanks, Coach.
Dom Izzo, what do you have?
Vigs, great to see you, bud. What's your first memory of Tim Polasek?
Well, I heard his interview about him going through the punt team. I remember I met him Main Avenue down by the high rise. There was, I don't know what it was called, frying pan or something. We ate breakfast there first. That was the first thing, and he got something on his tie. So he was worried about getting something on his tie for this interview. That's honest to God what I remember the most. Whether that happened before the punt team interview or not, it was one of the two. But I think it was apparent that here's a guy that had a whole lot of energy, was passionate about the game, would work his tail off, and that was the first impression. And then that obviously, I think over those next couple of years, 06, 07, 08, he just continued to develop into, a football coach, not just this guy that could work hard, that was a lumberjack and all that. He really became a football coach.
I think I asked you this after the New Mexico win, but how many similarities do you see from that 2010 Bison loss in Cheney to what happened to you guys last year to the Bison, and how you followed that, the 11-year, with what you've done here in 2024?
Well, I think as a coach, I think the first thing you do is you fall back on your own experiences. No one in this program, with the exception of me, experienced that. I know Ryan Shepard came on the other side of that loss, but you look at that, you reflect back on teams and how you pick yourself up from devastating blows, and at the same time, how do you move on from the highest of highs? So I certainly recall that year, and I knew that we had a lot of leadership that was coming back. I knew we had a lot of talent that was coming back, and I think the same would be said for that 2010 into 11 team. And just being able to, yes, put it behind you to some degree, but let it burn inside of you at the same time, especially through those winter months. And maybe if at any point in time you need a reminder that I just need to go in this weight room and work my tail off, think about the end of that game. And it snaps you right back, and okay, I need to work hard. So I think our guys, in a similar fashion, our seniors, really did the same things. I would think that leadership group of that 2011 team did. And, and then you get into a season and you need your moments too. You need your moments like we had at New Mexico, down 17 a couple times. And really, I think to this team cementing that, okay, we can do this. And if that was the 11 team, I don't know, we played Minnesota that year, right? That was probably just anything, and beat Northern Iowa, I suppose, was whatever that happened for the first time. It would have been those games maybe in particular that were similar. And then we've been able just to, really stack these wins up. So, I think there's definitely some parallels in my career. Both teams, sad to see those seniors go, like that 2010 group, no different than our group last year. And they were, small but meaningful. And then with this group of hungry guys that had learned from them, I think that probably is as simple as I could put it as far as the comparisons.
Last thing I haven't asked you on, just you guys got it all to yourselves Monday night. There's no NFL, there's no other college game. How big a deal is this for the FCS? You guys are it. You're the only game in town Monday.
Well, people in our country love football. So I imagine they'll find their way to ESPN to watch it. So yeah, I think it's a big deal. I think the football played at our level, and especially as you get down to these last couple rounds, it's beyond entertaining. It's really good football, and it could find it. Our two teams could find their way into, I don't even know, in the middle of FBS, and certainly hold our own. So, I think all these games that have been going on for a couple of weeks now, maybe people come across them and they turn it on or they don't. The NFL certainly is a priority for a lot of people, but to be in a standalone, scenario like that, I think it's great for FCS football. It's certainly great for our two programs or institutions, and great that the spotlight's clearly on us.
Thanks, Vig. See you this weekend, bud.
Coach, before we finish with Braden and before I mock Dom Izzo about being a Mets fan, Ryan Leaf has sent in a couple questions. He'd like to ask about Tommy Mellott's control over the offense and what it's like coaching a quarterback with that and with those leadership qualities that Tommy's shown. And he'd also like to ask about Brendan Hall and his emergence as a weapon.
Yeah. With Tommy, I think you become a senior, a fourth-year guy in an offense. You want that type of guy to be an extension of your coaching staff, and I think Tommy's certainly that. And it's not that he hadn't been before, but I think this is we've taken it to another level this year, and that certainly does play out on Saturdays to some degree. But I think Tommy's growth in a lot of ways has been in his willingness Monday through Thursday, let's say, and sit down with Coach Walker, even sit down with me, and express his thoughts of the game plan, of the opponent, what he likes, what he doesn't like. I think that's a huge transition for a quarterback, and he's taken that piece to the level that he needed to this year. When you talk about his control of the offense, I guess, and I think as much as anything, our offense now 3+ years in has really leaned into his skill set more than any this year. And it's not that we hadn't the prior years, but we had Sean too. And I think there was things we did differently, maybe with the both of them. And, this year, how Coach Walker and the offensive staff have, let's say, constructed this offense, it's entirely towards Tommy, the things that he does well, the things that he feels comfortable with. So I think that piece, again, talking about control, is something that I think has taken his game to another level. So, yeah, Tommy's been phenomenal this year, and he needs to be phenomenal one more time. Brendan, I think in his case, Brendan's been solid. We haven't had in the first 14 games, a ton of meaningful situations where he had to come through. I think he'd done fine. He'd done really well. And then you get in that second half, the Saturday against South Dakota, and he needed to come through in a big fashion, and he did. And we've talked a lot about how he's a weapon. Certainly in the kickoff game, his ability to put the ball in the end zone and really, by and large, the last 2 years, eliminate the opposing team's kick return has been significant. We've given up one kick return of any significance in my mind the last 2 seasons, and that's only in large part because of Brendan putting the ball in the end zone. Now, the punt side of things, those opportunities have been few and far between, fortunately, because we've done the things we have on offense. But he's been a weapon. It just so happened that it really didn't play out where it was, hey, we need you to come through now. That moment came through in the second half against South Dakota, and what he was able to do, flipping that field a couple times, significant. And for him to be able to cap his career back in the Metroplex, growing up just west of Fort Worth, going to SMU his first couple of years. He's one of those guys that you talk about in recruiting a couple of years back, saying, hey, that championships played down in Frisco, and Brendan's a big soccer guy too. So I think, him getting a chance to play in that stadium is probably more meaningful than most because of his soccer background. So, we'll need them both to be impactful on next Monday, and I'm certain they'll be up to the task.
Braden Shaw, you have the anchor leg. Take us home.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Brent, first of all, you guys have talked about this mentality shift all season with the 1-0 mindset. I was curious what you could say about the impact of a guy like John Shirkey on that and kind of the mental performance side of impacting this program.
Yeah, John's impact on our program, has been, I think, been critical. John came to us after the 21 season, so it was kind of the beginning of the 22 calendar year that I got to know John. And at the time, here was been meeting with him a couple times. Here's a very talented, trained individual that brings something to the table on the mental performance side that we didn't have. And he was here in Bozeman. He had a real eagerness to work with our program. And so that spring of 22, got him in front of the team a few times just to allow him that opportunity, I guess, and gauge a comfortability with our guys. Because anytime you bring an outside, I guess, person, force, whatever, into your program, you want to feel like your players are going to be about it. And I think it was apparent through that those first couple meetings that they would be. And then really since then, it's been kind of on I suppose a case by case basis. He's worked with a lot of our guys, between the 22 fall essentially through now. And, I think he's really been able to help them, with their focus, with their goals, and it's not that coaches don't have some of that as part of their repertoire, but this is John's background, and he's also coached high school football, so he gets football at the same time. And so my feedback from our football players, our student athletes, has been, hey, and it's not every guy by any means on our team, but the guys that have worked with John have really appreciated that. It's been an investment. The quarterback club, booster club funds this part of what we were doing. The quarterback club is meant to go above and beyond and picking and choosing either areas or people or whatever that are going to help our football program, to its highest heights. And so we've done that. We made that investment, I guess, in John. And, yeah, he's been impactful, and I don't get involved a whole lot. And that's probably the beauty. I think our guys feel like they can work with John. He can give them what they're looking for as far as, again, just a lot of it's, how do I focus better? How do I maybe prioritize my tasks better to some degree in my mind? Because the work they do physically with Sean Heron is significant, but for them to become more mentally aware, I guess, and practice the mental side of their preparation, I think is something that's certainly come to light over the last couple of years. So having someone to be able to work on their mental performance, as simple as that, has been big for a lot of our individuals. And it's not to say he's got in front of the team from time to time, but it's been more about his individual work with several of our guys, for the last 3 seasons.